Hello there. This will not be my review for the movie Spartacus. I considered doing it for a second, but instead I'll just front load this real quick. It's a very good movie. 7 out of 10. I liked Braveheart better. To me, Braveheart is a better version of this movie. And at the same time, though, it's not like Braveheart. I wouldn't consider an 8 out of 10. I'd consider it a strong 7 out of 10. So they're both 7 out of 10s. I just prefer Braveheart. Then again, if you watch Spartacus, you don't need to support a movie in which Mel Gibson acts. So I guess if that's your dig, then that's your dig. Instead, this video will be a video. Well, of course, it's a fucking video. It'll be a review of Pacific Rim. It's one of my favorite movies of that year, if not my favorite movie that year. Just for how okay. A lot of people have favorite directors or favorite whatevers, and they will overrate things in their head from from whatever it is that they like. For me, Guillermo del Toro, I absolutely love his movies, and I give them maybe too much credit. I'm willing to admit that. I'm going to do my best to be as objective as possible in the review and in the rating. However, starting off, the movie is, by and large, very well acted. The main character is the only real exception. His acting is still fine. The only actual issue with his acting in this movie is his accent is a bit inconsistent. Oh well, I'm not the kind of person who's really too thrown off by that kind of a thing. He's lived in a whole bunch of different places throughout his life. Maybe he's the kind of guy that just picks up accents as he moves around and he ends up with this little hodgepodge. I'm willing to buy that. So it doesn't, what I'm trying to say is it's not a big enough issue where you can't rationalize it, and it won't take you out of the movie experience. Miss Mako Mori, honestly, like I said, I overrate Guillermo del Toro stuff, but honestly, I feel like people overrate Mako Mori's. They overhype Mako Mori's character. She is very senpai please. You know what I mean? She's not as strong or independent of a woman, female lead, as people make her out to be. Not to say that she isn't. She is badass. I will say that. She kicks ass in the ring. She takes on our main character and wins. It's really rad. And she earns the respect of the people around her. With one exception, but the only exception is just this douchebag in general. The movie has a lot of cliches in it. The cliches make sense, though, so they might as well not be cliches. If it's something that makes sense with the plot, then there's no real need to go and make a way around having to have that cliche in there. In fact, that's a great way to make things feel unnatural, is trying to avoid cliches just for the sake of avoiding them. I've said that before, I'll say it again. Overall, I guess the best way to describe this movie is, Movie Bob said it best, it's an example that simple doesn't have to be stupid. I think I said that in the review for Godzilla. It's because it's true there too. And I'm a guy that, I disagree with Movie Bob a lot. A lot of the time I disagree with him. Very strongly, in fact, on a number of things. Like, he had Spring Breakers as, I think, his number 2 movie for the year it came out. I was just like, what the fuck are you smoking? That thing was a heap of trash. Okay, no, it wasn't. It was well executed, but its main point of the movie was what was the trashy point. In any case, so yeah, simple does not have to be stupid, and this is a movie that really exemplifies it. It knows if you came to see this movie, you want to see giant robots punching giant monsters in the face, and people like to say it's a stupid movie, but they love it. No, it's not stupid. In fact, it's actually smart at parts. It's just simple. It's like it gives you what you came for. It doesn't do stupid shit with the plot. It doesn't shoehorn anything in that does not need to be there or wouldn't be naturally there. However, where there is room to include things, it includes things. There is this kind of nice tone of globalism going on, of, working together, not just as a nation, but as humanity. And that's something I find very, very nice. That's something also pointed out in Movie Bob's review for the movie. In fact, for a guy that I disagree with so much, I will have to absolutely recommend that you see his review for this movie. It is more or less what I'm just saying here, really. And as much as I disagree with the dude, he has far better editing and presentation than I do, considering I don't have any editing, and my presentation is trash. But in any case, you got Idris. Is it Idris or Idris? I think it's Idris. I'm gonna put my money on Idris. If it isn't, sorry. Idris Elba. He's playing Sergeant Pentecost. He's absolutely badass as fuck. Everything is badass as fuck in this movie. Even the douchebag is kind of a badass. The only real issue with this movie I had, or at least when I was walking out of the movie, was that the movie ended. I wanted to see more. I wanted to see more of that action. Not that the movie was skimping on action. It had a nice balance. The action in the movie was well paced. It didn't pull a Man of Steel where it just keeps on throwing action scenes at your face. It didn't do that. It gave you action scenes that were well paced out. And the action scenes themselves were very satisfying. It felt like these were huge things fighting, and you were in that people were these ants compared to them, and it was great. I will say, however, that there is inconsistencies as far as scale is concerned. For example, the bit where Gypsy Danger uses a tanker as a baseball bat. Tanker would be fucking huge, man. That thing, because Gypsy Danger is standing in the middle of a very wide street. Fucking tanker would not fit in a street, alright? It's a tanker. But in any case, those are very small issues that I'm willing to overlook. People try to criticize the Newton's Cradle thing, and it's like, it's unlikely, but it's something that has absolutely zero impact on the plot at all. I don't care. It's fine. Let it be. Yeah. But the major issue, if there is a major issue that I have with this movie, which I shouldn't say that, just an issue I had, was Cherno Alpha and Crimson Typhoon. They are taken out of the fight, or out of the movie, in their first fight, which I thought was a little cheap. I understand that they didn't want to make the movie run too long, and considering the pacing that would be required to set up additional fight scenes to have them in, I can understand them taking them out. That's it. I would have liked to see more. Like, this was the kind of movie I walked out of it and I said to myself, I'm not an anime guy. To me, I have been impressed by almost by just a handful of animes, like Cowboy Bebop and like 2 others. Not Attack on Titan. Attack on Titan is an average thing. Sorry, I'm not an anime guy. See, like I'm saying, I'm not an anime guy, right? But I would want to see an anime series, an anime spin-off of Pacific Rim. I'd fucking watch that. I'd watch the shit out of that. See some fucking more of that shit. It just looked great. And like I said earlier, I don't know how well the anime would work, because something that's very important for this movie is that Guillermo del Toro is behind it. And even though he's a director that is very well known for his use of practical effects over CGI of any kind, whenever he has the opportunity to use practical effects, he will just use the shit out of them, because practical effects are king's, baby. This is a movie that has obviously a lot of CGI involved. You can't build a Jaeger and then breed a kaiju and throw them at each other. You can't do that. I guess you wouldn't breed it, but you'd have to build a replica. In any case, you can't do practical effects for a movie like this. However, still, he is a guy so dedicated to practical effects that he had a 3-story set. A 3-story set that he used to shoot the cockpits of the Jaegers. That wasn't CGI. That was a set, mind you. Like, Guillermo del Toro, forever dedicated to the use of practical effects. And even in the CGI, he clearly demonstrated that he knew what he was doing, even though it was CGI, something that he should, by all accounts, be unfamiliar with. He was able to take these kaiju and make them feel legitimately large. Just great. Like, normally, okay, for most giant monster movies, I have to say the giant monsters themselves aren't very threatening, because it's like, oh, well, what are we to them? How would they even take notice of us for anything? We would just book it around, we could just keep out of their way and we'd be fine. Like, it would be like you trying to keep track of an ant moving through grass. It would not, the ant's fine at that point, you're not going to find it. But at the same time, in this movie, those kaiju feel legitimately threatening. They say these things are here to wipe out the human race, and you believe it. Like, they're able, at one point, one of the characters in the movie is being tracked by a kaiju, and that thing tracks him to an underground bunker and gets into that bunker with its tongue. And you're like, damn, this is a threatening fucking thing, isn't it? And that's something I really appreciate. He was able to make just giant monsters, you know, not only really cool to watch fight giant robots, but also threatening. They felt threatening. Another thing to point out about this movie is the soundtrack. Soundtrack is rad as fuck. It absolutely matches the tone of the movie. It sets the tone perfectly, I should say. Also, another note, GLaDOS makes a guest appearance. I loved that. They don't say she's GLaDOS, I don't think, but she sounds exactly like her. All the characters in the movie are unique. People complained. I heard complaints about the two scientist characters. I loved those two scientist characters, especially. I think it was Herman. By Jove, we're going to do this thing. Yeah, I can't do it at all. I'm not an actor, obviously, but it's fucking hilarious. I absolutely loved it. People say that they were just too much energy, that they were too over the top, and I can understand that. I won't really say you're wrong. But at the same time, they don't show up too often that that it gets old. I could see if they had them in more scenes that would be a complaint that I would hold too, but they are used sparingly enough. So it works. That's what I'm trying to get at. Overall rating for the movie, my inner fanboy for this movie wants to call it an 8 out of 10. I don't think it is an 8 out of 10, objectively speaking. I'm not saying it's a stupid movie. It's a simple movie. But I feel like a simple movie can only get up to a 7 out of 10. You have to be deeper than that. Even though there are some deeper themes in this movie, they are rather lightly touched upon. Lightly used. Like I said, it's simple, not stupid, but simple also isn't super intelligent. And to get past a 7 out of 10, you have to be doing something a little bit deeper, So, I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10, but I guess an honorary 8 out of 10. So, take it as you will. And that's that for the review. Have a great day, and all that. Bye-bye.